Hello everyone and welcome to this edition of GroupTalk, where you'll be learning about satisfying the compliance sweet tooth with IQ Suite. You'll be hearing from Matthias Roeder, a senior consultant here at GBS. And without further ado, here is Matthias.
I'm Matthias. I work as a senior consultant for Group Business Software since 6 years now. Have spent a lot of the time living in the UK, being responsible for our international customers and partners. Had the chance to visit the States a couple of times for work rather than pleasure, and Lotusphere counts as work here. So yeah, my main focus was on IQ Suite in the past, where we have implemented a lot of services for our customers. I would like to start with a very, very brief slide on what Group Business Software does apart from email management in IQ Suite. This is the slide where I typically mention that you will all get PDF version of those slides afterwards. I will not cover all of the points listed on every slide because that's probably taking a bit too long. So just wanted to point out that we have a very, very strong application section where email management is one of the products that we provide to our customers. Don't know if any of you had the chance to listen to the same time management, instant messaging, and probably the fast work sessions which were taking place the other days. Those were done by my colleagues in the UK and America. If you have any questions about those, please feel free to either contact your sales representative or drop a line to Dawn or me, and we'll be happy to either answer your questions or forward you to the appropriate person to talk to. So let's get started what we want to do today. Group Business Software, the name Group comes from the German company who was called Group Technologies. The product was renamed a couple of years ago from Group Tools to IQ Suite, and we have some 18 years experience on Domino and say 11 or 12 years experience on email management with Exchange. We do that for customers in varying sizes. So the smallest installation that we have starts with 10 users, and the biggest one is 120,000 or something like that. 10,000 give or take doesn't make a big difference at that point. So you can do a lot of things with IQ Suite. I will try to tell you what the main topics are when it comes to compliance. During the last years, IT has gone through kind of a reorganization where we are looking at things slightly different. Things that were introduced as productivity tools now come under the eyes of security officers and people taking care of compliance, either within the company or outside the company. And that is the most important thing that we need to understand when we talk about IQ Suite and email management, that it is compliance not only to the outside world. Of course, this is the most obvious one. If you are sued, if you want to sue somebody else, if you are taken into court, those are the situations where you're desperately looking for information. But the same things can happen within your organization when it comes to the relationships between employees within your company, managers and their staff, and all of those things. So these are the areas where we are either driven by the compliance rules that we want to create for ourselves, or compliance that are introduced by legal organizations, by state rules and things like that. What we can do with, if we look at current organizations, a lot of the communication happens by email. Instant messaging is coming up strong, but it's still a bit more like chatting, whereas email has taken over the role that the original letter had in the early days, where everything that was really important to your company was printed and sent by snail mail. Today this has been taken over by email in a lot of situations, and we need to make sure that those email communications are according to the rules and regulations, so that we can comply with those and are reducing the risks that would otherwise happen to us if we are not taking care of, if we are not aware of all of those regulations. So what we are seeing in Europe especially is a lot of companies who had IQ Suite in the past for security reasons, where it is about antivirus and anti-spam and things like that. They are now changing to a different point of view and say, okay, we still want to keep that because this is still important for our security, but it is something that we are well aware of and that we know how to deal with. And now we are changing that into a compliance issue. So what we do with IQ Suite, and I want to focus on the right-hand side of that slide that you are seeing, is we need to deal with emails in a couple of different ways. Here it is the example of security, as I said, with antivirus and anti-spam for incoming messages, because this is the biggest threat that comes from the outside world. On the other hand, if we look at an outgoing message, we want to have a legal disclaimer, for example, that is added to every outgoing message and that provides the recipient with the information that is necessary when you receive an email. And of course, there are additional things. Now, legal disclaimers are one thing, and most of the companies today have those. But what do you do about archiving? That might be important for outgoing messages and for incoming messages, as you can see here. You probably want to encrypt messages, and when it comes to encryption, you probably have a lot of different rules that you need to take care of and implement in your email infrastructure. Over the time, we have changed our focus on email and moved it from the security point to an email management point, where we say, well, we can take care of processes within an organization. Right now, I am at a customer site in Germany where we are implementing our latest product, which is called Key Manager, and we'll cover that in a second. But what we are doing is we are integrating our product into the email infrastructure so that the organizational processes that are necessary to deal with encryption in this case are tightly integrated into the Domino infrastructure that this customer is running. So this is where things are changing. It's not about the email message itself, the one message that you are experiencing in your inbox. It is about all of the emails that are in your organization and that you need to deal with. So let me cover a couple of things that we are addressing with IQ Suite. When it comes to email security, mentioned a couple of times, and you know what I'm talking about when it is antivirus and anti-spam. Just one thing, I want to have antivirus on my Domino server or my Exchange server, because there is still a threat that is within email. Even if you have appliances, the message labs of the world outside your infrastructure that are scanning your messages, you probably want to have a second line of defense within your email system. Legal disclaimer here listed under mail security. I would love to have an additional column in here that says compliance, but that depends on the view that you are taking. for sure, email security when it comes to encryption. I will cover that in detail later. Email archiving is the second big area where we are taking care of email archiving either from users' mailboxes or from a server point of view, where we are looking at mail streams and we are archiving, for example, all incoming messages, all outgoing messages to our customers, things like that. Email productivity not covered today in our session because it is mainly about compliance. If you have any questions about delegation management or the other topics, please feel free to drop us a line and we'll be happy to provide you with additional information. Sorry, the next slide should actually be at the very end, so I'm going to skip it. And I want to cover a couple of things in a bit more detail. Let me focus for a couple of minutes on the architecture of IQ Suite. We sit on the Domino server. So our product is running as a server task within a Domino server, and it is an equivalent component in an Exchange environment. We monitor emails that are going through the mail.boxes of your Domino servers. We can run in a multi-version environment, so there is no need to have all of the servers on the same level. And our product has multiple modules which you can combine, and we'll cover most of them during today's session. The main focus when we look at IQ Suite is that it is a server-based environment. It is made for the administrator, specifying rules that are applied to either all users or groups of users. We can drill down to an individual level, of course, and we do that in certain situations, but IQ Suite is in general a group tool. It is made to deal with groups of users. We do not require any software installation on the client side. There is no executable, no packet that has to be deployed. There are no operating system dependent components that you need to have if you are running notes on a Windows or a Mac client or whatever. The only thing where we do interfere with the local installation is when it comes to email archiving. And we need a modified mail template, because you need to have that button that brings back the archived message. And that has to be on your client installation. But then again, this is integrated into mail templates. So we try to minimize the installation effort that an administrator has. On the other hand, that means that all of the communication that we do takes place in emails. So what we do is we either deliver email messages unchanged, and that should be the majority of messages. Depending on what your rules and jobs are and what you want to do with emails, we can modify email messages. So we can add components to the body of an email, we can remove attachments, we can convert attachments from Word into PDF or whatever your requirements are. We communicate with the user by email. That is one of the biggest advantages when it comes to IQ Suite. We run on, most of the time, all of the Domino servers within a customer environment, but we have no components that are necessary to be installed at a client level. And we all know what a pain this can be if you have to install something on a client system.